So I'll be showing you some of the efforts I have been doing in order to purify my silver. So the process I'll be doing in this video is called cupellation or cupellation. I don't know exact pronunciation of it, but the whole process revolves around using this borax, which is used as a flux to purify or to get rid of at least the organics out of the materials and allow just pure metal to be left. And so I've already used about 2.5 boxes of the stuff and still no success. Reason being is because the amount of sand I've been dealing with. So as you can see, these examples of lead, right? You can see two different qualities that I've been working on. This is recycled lead, and when it comes to recycled lead, they've really just shovel sand in this to fill it like pretty much like plastic, right? And stupid me, I mixed some of it up with my silver, and so a lot of that sand got on my silver and making the whole process problematic. But back to my previous video, here's an example of what silver does with oxygen. It absorbs it, and then while it's cooling it down, it tends to spit it back up instead of reacting with it. So as you can see here, this is how problematic the sand can be, because it makes like a glassy surface that prevents what you'll see later in the video will prevent the lead oxide being absorbed into the whatever powders I use to absorb the lead. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue purifying this sample, and then I'll mix it with this silver, and then I'll portion out a small amount of it so I can focus on a small amount to refine, if I can, try and get the last little bit of sand out so I could show an example of the cupellation hopefully later. But I have a feeling I'm still going to have this glassy issue, and I'll explain other issues of what I've seen and I'm dealing with. I'm just going to start at 5. Once I open the valve to the refractory, it'll drop down, and then I'll have to readjust later, but I'm just going to let the refractory warm up before I pump up the amount of propane that I'm going to let through. So to start my refractory, I am going to be using this. Not the best suggested way, but I would suggest with the barbecue lighter, but my barbecue lighter is out of fuel, so I'm making do with what I got. Yeah, I'm getting a harder and harder time to have a good shot. My camera is telling me that it's getting too hot and the video quality may suffer, so I'm trying to move it back out of the heat jet. Be sure to remember to heat up your mold so it doesn't crack under the extreme heat temperature shock that it will experience. I'm using this crucible just as a mold. So I might be able to catch some of the spontaneously cracking that the borax tends to do, because now it's in a glass form, tempered glass form. So just like regular glass, it's experiencing internal stress, and as it cools down further and further, that internal stress just keeps increasing until it just shatters. So this stuff is actually quite scary leaving around, because you just never know when it's just going to explode on you. I remember there was something in the news about how phone screens were just spontaneously breaking, and the manufacturer's defense was glass just doesn't spontaneously break. Well, they were obviously trying to put up some kind of front that's just not true, because I used to work in, I did a short period of time working in a glass tempering facility, and I've seen firsthand the production, and just even just case scenarios like this where it's like, yeah, glass, tempered glass could just bust on you at any time. So if it's not done properly, it's quite scary. So you can see there's still tons of sand and other maybe contaminants that are still in my sample here. So this is the majority, the bulk of the stuff that I'm going to put aside. I'm going to keep working on the smaller sample. Still looking plenty nasty. All right, so I've been setting up my crucible for the cupellation process. Now, what I'm using, the powder that I'm using, is the magnesium oxide that I have here. Right, get it off Amazon, and then compressing it down with a spoon, and then creating a dimple with what is actually a tip of a lava lamp. So just press it in and compress the powder. So here's the close look at the silver. It looks pretty clean, but like I said, I still think there's sand in this that's going to give me problems. So let's see how the process goes. I take a peek in so I can let the oxygen in. I have to do this every once in a while. There's just not enough airflow in this electrical refractory. But I can't do it for too long or else it'll cool down too much, because the refractory is not on right now. Alright, so as you can see, I could already tell that I'm having that same issue that I was expecting. I was gonna have. Looks like it's pretty glassy down at the bottom. You can look into the magnesium dioxide powder here, and it looks like pretty much nothing has been absorbed. Right, that sand is all green and just making things hard for me. And of course, you got the little spout of silver like normal. So, yep. I am done with cupellation pretty much now. It's just, I can't seem to get it working for me. I've seen other people do it with things like Portland cement, which confuses me because like Portland cement has sand in it as well, so it would reduce its effectiveness on the whole cupellation process. So I wish I started with clean lead to begin with. The Asahi bars also had sand in them, so I don't think there was any way of avoiding sand. It's just whether or not how much I put in there by accident was the real issue. I'm just not satisfied with this process, and I'm going on to the next one. So see you in the next video.